What is up, duelists? Arts and Crofts here today with your daily dose of Yu-Gi-Oh! Goat Format action. Today's feature match, we've got Estuardo Escoto versus Easy to Slay You. Last time Easy to Slay You was on this channel, they were rocking a very spicy last turn combo deck, so could be a little bit of a preliminary spice alert here. Don't know for sure, but let's hop into it and see. Looks like Estuardo wins the rock, paper, scissors, shoot and is going to choose to go first. Going to lead out with a Pot of Greed, so already going up +1 in card advantage, and then going to follow up with a set monster and a couple back row pass. So we're really not giving away any information. Basically, every deck in the format plays Pot of Greed. So Easy to Slay You, not too much to go off of just yet. We're going to get a Trap Dust Shoot flip, though, so we will get a little bit more insight into what both players are playing, as we will see both players' hands. So Easy to Slay You, looks like they are running potentially if I was a Estuardo and I saw this, I would expect this to be a goat control list. That's usually when you'll see Abyss Soldier, DD Warrior Lady, Lightning Vortex, often played in goat control lists. You can play a small reinforcement of the army warrior package in goat control. Definitely seems solid. You've got Sangan to search up Sinister Serpent to combo with the Abyss Soldier. DD Warrior Lady is just solid removal. Estuardo, on the other hand, looks like they are just rocking some pretty standard chaos stuff here with a spy, a BLS, tribe, heavy storm, all stuff you would see in a standard turbo list. So, not sure exactly what the other couple of cards are. Sangan here would be annoying if it's allowed to get a search off to grab this Abyss Soldier. I don't think DD Warrior Lady really does too much here. And they're going to be searching up another warrior as a Rhoda target at some point, so you could potentially have plussing off of Tribe Infecting Virus plays if you keep the DD Warrior Lady in hand. So I would probably see Abyss Soldier or Sangan sent back here. More leaning towards the Sangan just because it's annoying. Spy can kind of wall out everything for the most part. Although you do have to worry about Rhoda for like Mystic Swordsman or something. We'll see what Estuardo chooses to go with. Gonna send back that Sangan. Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. And now they know to play around Heavy Storm, play around Lightning Vortex, and they know about a couple of the other good stuff in their opponent's hand. Easy to Slay You, though. Opponent knows everything you're rolling with. Gonna just fire off that Rhoda, grab an Exiled Force, deal with this set monster right off the bat. Tribute it. It is a Sangan, though, so this is going to be another +1 for Estuardo, so off to a really strong start here. Thanks to the pot, Dust Shoot, and then plussing off of the Sangan that was set, baiting out an Exiled Force. Now, Sangan, yeah, okay, grabbing a Magician of Faith. We know Easy to Slay You does not have any way to deal with set monsters in hand, so going for the pretty aggressive Faith into Pot force here. You could have grabbed Sinister as like a combo with your Tribe Infecting Virus. But Faith for Pot is definitely these Chaos decks normal win con, besides just like BLS and stuff. Also grabbing a Light is good to enable that BLS in hand as well. So Faith makes sense to me for those reasons. And Easy to Slay, you're just going to pass. No traps in hand, no reason to set anything. Estuardo, we're going to go set a monster pass. Very likely to be that Magician of Faith. Might as well just ram it through when you know Easy to Slay You has no interaction here. Just going to set a monster there, pass. Yeah, nothing super crazy. Easy to Slay You maybe on flip stuff, although it seems like they're on a more aggressive version of Go Control, which often does not play a lot of flip monsters and gets some value out of like blanking potential knocks and stuff. So this could be like set DD Warrior Lady, maybe. Could be interesting. Sort of though. Oh, so we're leading out with the Spy first is kind of interesting because Easy to Slay You just had no set interaction. But going for the Spy play first, summoning out in defense, just to kind of wall out, Abyss Soldier, of course, could beat over the Spies. Same with DD Warrior Lady. Okay, so Easy to Slay You drew into a Dekoichi, so this will just cycle for a card for Easy to Slay You. Get a Dark Engrave, if that matters. Go Control generally plays BLS, but not really any Sorks. So Chaos does matter for the Blackluster Soldier coming down in the future, most likely. And then Estuardo can add another set monster to the board. I'd assume that's that Magician of Faith. And applying some pressure with these Spies as well. Easy to Slay You has seen a few new cards. Draws into a Thunder Dragon. Okay, so maybe this is just Chaos Control running Abyss Soldier. Definitely could be something like that. They're going to go Heavy Storm to clear out the back row. It just hits an MST. Okay. And now we can normal summon DD Warrior Lady, start getting some value attacking over this. Oh, okay, so we're going to attack into the set monster, which is Magician of Faith. Grabbing Pot. Kind of an interesting play. I guess you knew it was Faith, so you might as well just deal with it now. It does turn on Chaos for Estuardo. But maybe just wanting to get rid of it, not allowing Estuardo to like draw anything that might be better than Pot, aka Graceful Charity is probably the only card that you would grab instead of Pot in this scenario, assuming, depending on what's on your hand, in your hand. But yeah, DD Warrior Lady is going to stick on the ground. Easy to slay you, just running out the Heavy Storm to ensure this attack connects. Estuardo knew about it from the Dust Shoot, so hard to play around, or hard to really get more value out of it than just sniping one card at a time. Estuardo here, pretty solid advantage. Going to resolve a second Pot of Greed of the game. Go up even more cards. Going to discard a Thunder Dragon. Oh, interesting. Did they draw double Thunder Dragon off of Pot of Greed? you know, you almost never see that. I don't think I've ever seen that before, but really unlucky if that's the case. Just going to discard a Thunder Dragon to grab another copy of itself. Likely 2 Deadwoods in hand. We do have a Tribe Infecting Virus with Thunder Dragons as discard fodder in hand as well. Can use that effect. Oh, discarding a Night Assailant, which can grab the Magician of Faith back, which is quite strong. And the Thunder Dragon ensures that they still have a Light Engrave to keep Chaos active. And yeah, Night Assailant bouncing Faith is pretty good. And the Tribe effect, of course, clears the DD Warrior Lady basically for free. And now Estuardo can start getting pretty aggressive here. Can get in for a lot of damage. Ooh, and we're just going to slam down BLS. Is this lethal? It's 42, 54, 7,000. Okay, so Ring is game. Going to drop Easy to Slay You all the way down to 1,000 life points. Pass with lethal on board, a couple back row to protect everything. You can set as much as you want because you know Heavy Stormer's gone here. And yeah, Estuardo just getting super aggro, knowing that Easy to Slay You kind of didn't have too much going on. And near full information thanks to the Dust Shoot is quite solid as well. And even if Easy to Slay You was to somehow just like deal with this board pretty effectively, because you were able to resolve 2 Pot of Greed so far this game, and plus off of like Tribe and other things like that, you're just so far ahead that even if Easy to Slay You dealt with this board, you would still be in a very solid position, especially with your opponent at 1,000 life. So Easy to Slay You, hanging on here, but have to assume Estuardo is most likely going to close this one out. Estuardo is playing into that known Lightning Vortex here, discarding a Thunder Dragon, but we're just going to ring for game. Yeah, so Estuardo knew about the Vortex thanks to the Dust Shoot, but had the ring just to deal the last 1,000 points of damage. And that is game 1 here to Estuardo on Chaos Turbo versus Easy to Slay You on what I think is Chaos Control. A classic Chaos Turbo versus Chaos Control match. I think the last couple matches on this channel have been that, so not too much deck diversity in recent uploads, but definitely some interesting matches for people to check out. And, you know, this is GOAT format. A lot of the time you're going to be playing against Chaos stuff, so I hope it's interesting to all you viewers to see all the different ways these different strategies can play out and how they interact. You know, it's a lot of the same cards, but no 2 games are the same. No 2 people make the same decisions, so hopefully it's keeping it interesting for you all. We're going to go to game 2 here, though. Easy to Slay You will get to go first here on this Chaos Control list. Or, yeah, Chaos Control with Abyss Soldier and Rhoda. It's one of those decks that might be trying to do a little bit too much, but we know Easy to Slay You is a Spice Fiend, and so maybe just seeing how far you can kind of push the deck building limits of GOAT format and combining all these different sorts of crazy combos. Gonna lead out with Set Monster and Set 4 Pass. Have to believe that there's a Solemn Judgment in the back there somewhere, but might not be. Could just be playing crazily into Heavy Storm. Estuardo draws for turn. No Trap Dust Shoot out of Easy to Slay You. And Estuardo's just gonna lead out with a Thunder Dragon to grab a couple more copies of itself. Into Pot of Greed here, so opening Pot of Greed for the second time this match is quite strong, already going up a ton of cards. That'll just resolve. And we're going to go normal summon Breaker the Magical Warrior with a lot of potential back row targets. Basically a 1 in 4 shot to hit something interesting. Hits a Nobleman of Crossout that Easy to Slay You set, so setting 4 there, most likely just to play around potential Delinquent Duo. Easy to Slay You must have had Solomon Hand, otherwise you're not just setting a bunch of these unchainable back row. So it's sort of good amount of information from this breaker play here, and from the way Easy to Slay You is played so far. Has knock of their own to do with Easy to Slay You's monster. Oh, but we have a Ceasefire chain here, which is kind of cute. So Easy to Slay You definitely on some spice. Flipping up a Morphing Jar. Okay. Forcing the activation. And wow, so Easy to Slay You. Resolving this Morphing Jar here, setting basically their entire hand, and they're going to go +3 or +4 off of this. Whereas Estuardo is actually going to go -1 at least. So really high impact Morphing Jar activation. Estuardo is off to a solid start here thanks to the breaker and some of the combos. But all this advantage is just going to be completely eliminated by this Morphing Jar resolution. And the game is back into probably an even state after this. Oh, wait, no, sorry. I was confusing. Yeah, I was confusing Ceasefire with Desert Sunlight. Sorry, guys. Ceasefire not being cool here. It makes the knock fizzle, and it deals 1,000 damage to Estuardo. Why would you Ceasefire there? That seems odd to me. Because if that was Desert Sunlight, forcing the Morphing Jar activation is quite strong, right? But otherwise, this Ceasefire doesn't really do much. You're negating your own monster's flip effect. Of course, it wasn't going to go off anyway, thanks to the knock. But is it just to block the damage from the breaker here? Or maybe you really want Morphing Jar and Gray for some reason? Easy to Slay You, obviously cooking up something that I do not have full information on. But not a super obvious play for me here. Chaining Ceasefire to that knock just to keep the Morphing Jar on board. But we'll see what they've got rocking over there. Maybe this will all make sense to us at some point in the future. Either way, so now Estuardo in quite a lead here. Avoiding that Morphing Jar resolution. Now they don't have to worry about that as well. Setting a couple back row, but no need to like set the full hand to play around that. Easy to Slay You. Just going to go set a monster, set a back row pass. Nothing in hand. We're going to get end phase Raigeki Break out of Estuardo. Discarding one of those known Thunder Dragons. Popping the set monster, which was a Knight Assailant. So the wall in the way of the breaker has been dealt with. Not the most high impact card, but this does allow you to continue to apply tempo and pressure. So not too bad. And Estuardo is going to start beating in for 1600 a turn, which is going to get Ring of Destruction out of Easy to Slay You, though. Kind of doesn't trade super favorably with the breaker, right? Because this breaker ended up being like a 3-for-1 almost, right? Breaker popped a knock, killed the Morphing Jar, ate a ring, and Easy to Slay You is just so far behind now. Estuardo has no threat on the board, but you're just down a ton of cards, and, you know, Turbo, when you're up a bunch of cards, is totally happy, can continue to just grind out this win. Easy to Slay You back way up against the wall here, but likely has some tricks up their sleeve, if we know anything about this duelist here. Let's see what the plan is. We're going to go Graceful Charity, not a bad top deck to try and dig for something usable. Let's see. Going to discard Abyss Soldier and Reflect Bounder? What in the world is this deck playing, man? Holy. Is it just like Go Control with a bunch of weird shit? But also Thunder Dragons? I don't know. Just kind of a pile. I like it. There's a bunch of crazy one-offs. Keeping your opponent on their toes. Let's see what they chose to keep. Oh, so dunking some stuff in the grave, grabbing, and now you have some solid targets for this Premature Burial. You can revive. Abyss Soldier is usually a common target. Combos quite well with the Premature Burial, especially if you have a Sinister Serpent in hand. You can Premature revive the Abyss Soldier, Abyss Effect, discard Serpent to bounce the Premature back to hand, and then get to use it on another monster if you so choose. And yeah, so we're going to target that Abyss Soldier. The 1800 Aqua Beast will hit the field. And we're just going to go ahead and attack into the set monster. It is a Dekoichi, so that will cycle for a card for Estuardo. But Easy to Slay You has kind of reversed the board and tempo advantage here. Now is the one applying the pressure, thanks to that Graceful Charity resolution. And then we're going to get Call of the Haunted here to summon Reflect Bounder, most likely, to continue to apply more pressure. 1,700 more points of damage coming in, saying to hell with Mirror Force, To hell with Torrential Tribute. I need to start getting aggro now because I'm down so many cards, which makes sense, of course. You know, when you're down cards, you don't really have the luxury of waiting to kind of draw the out most of the time. It's good to be aggressive to try and close the game up before the extra cards maybe matters. And now this is a pretty solid clock here, of course. In 1800 and 1700, this is 3,500 damage a turn. Will kill Estuardo in 2 turns. If he's easy to slay, he does not have anything to add to this board. So really on the back row here, or back foot here, main phase 2, we're going to get Delinquent Duo out of Easy to Slay You as well to rip out some stuff from hand. Let's see. They snag a Graceful Charity. Oof. That is huge. Must have drawn that off of the Dekoichi, otherwise you would have to imagine they would have fired it off with that Thunder Dragon hand in the past. And this might be a pretty big turnaround moment, thanks to a very strong hand with, yeah, just Graceful into Duo, plus a bunch of revival spells on the stuff you discarded off of the Graceful. So yeah, super insane top deck here, honestly, from Easy to Slay You. Basically turning this whole game right on its head. Estuardo has to discard a card. Just, yeah, gonna pitch that second, or that final Thunder Dragon, makes sense. But yeah, your Graceful getting hit here is pretty bad. And now card advantage is basically even. I guess Estuardo's up a card, plus going first. So up like a card and a half thanks to that. But compared to where Easy to Slay was recently, especially now that they have a board pressuring Estuardo's life points with a 2-turn clock, man, that's a crazy pendulum swing here. And Estuardo, do you have a way to rebuild after that pretty devastating turn? It's going to set a monster, hope to block some damage here. Gravekeeper Spy would be insane just to block everything out. We know Turbo generally runs 3 copies of that. So definitely could be something coming through from Estuardo. Another back row as well for Easy to Slay You to worry about. They're going to draw a Thunder Dragon for turn, so just going to be able to thin the deck a little bit. Not really going to do too much else with that. It does make Chaos live for the future if you're running Blackluster Soldier, but no guarantee of that. And we're just going to go get aggressive here. Reflect Bounder is going to go attack the set monster. And it is a Gravekeeper Spy, so Estuardo finding probably the best monster in the deck to kind of wall out this aggression and can just kind of chill behind these for the most part, unless Easy to Slay You has a solid out. We do know that Easy to Slay You is running Lightning Vortex, which could be good in this scenario. But just going to pass turn for now. Estuardo sitting behind the Spy Wall, going to add another set monster pass. Easy to Slay You has Nobleman of Crossout to deal with that new set monster. It is a Magician of Faith, so a good target to hit. Lots of good stuff in Grave for Estuardo to potentially grab, so Easy to Slay You very happy that they snagged that Faith before it could come in and resolve and put this game probably out of reach. And then Easy to Slay You looks like they're not running any copies of Magician of Faith. What an interesting deck. And Estuardo looks like they're running at least the 2. Maybe has a 3rd in hand. Could be a little interesting. Yeah, gonna set a monster, set a back row pass. We saw Estuardo did not shuffle their hand, so this could be Magician of Faith, honestly, which would be pretty funny. And then Easy to Slay You, draws per turn. Gotta worry about the set monster. Unlikely it's a Faith, but technically could be. Easy to Slay You, we know that that's not a Faith, but could be something interesting. Setting a back row, we know they're on at least Dekoichis. They're on at least Morphing Jar. They're on Night Assailant, so there are some flips in the deck that Estuardo could worry about here. We're going to get Jar of Greed out of Estuardo here. Set a back row pass. Not flipping up this monster, so likely not that Magician of Faith. Could just be something like a Sangan or a Sinister Serpent just to try and continue to wall out the damage. We'll see if Easy to Slay You played an actual real set. Ooh, okay, we'll get Draw Phase, Raigeki Break, discarding a Jar of Greed, so Estuardo with the fabled Jar, Draw into Jar combo, which you kind of hate to see, but at least able to use the second Jar as discard fodder for the Raigeki Break, I guess. Gonna pop that set monster. It is just a DD Warrior Lady, which is a good one to hit. You know, it could remove a Spy potentially. If Estuardo set a Sangan, DD Warrior Lady trades favorably into that as well. And just kind of removing some of the pieces that could potentially break your board for Estuardo. Is a -1 in card advantage, though. Easier to Slay You going in the tank here. Okay. And then we're going to go, so after a pretty long think, we're going to go summon Blackluster Soldier. Nice, that Knight is silent in grave, being the dark necessary, so easy to slay you is on chaos stuff. Good to know. We're just going to go, okay, so safe play, of course, would be to go and banish one of these monsters. But that does not deal with both spies in one turn. So we're going to go for the more aggressive play, play into potential Mirror Force. Although it's probably unlikely Estordo has one, because they likely would have used it at some point already. So BOS attacking in. Yeah, Estordo does not have the Mirror Force. BOS is going to be able to clear out both spies in one battle phase, and Reflect Banner is going to attack the Unknown set. We see it is a Sangan, kind of as expected. So Estordo will be able to get the search off. Easy to slay, of course, could have prevented that by just banishing it with the BLS effect, but I think just being aggressive here is totally fine. And man, this match is completely turned, or this game is completely turned on its head. Estordo able to wall out for a few turns with their spies, but now you kind of have to start over, and this BLS, if Easy to Slay is allowed to continue to activate its effects, is going to just really take over the game from here. Sangan Search coming through, though. Going to grab a Tsukuyomi. Okay. It does deal with the Reflect Bounder, which isn't terrible. But other than that, I don't think it does too much in the situation. To be fair, I don't think any monster that is searchable off of Sangan would do too much in this situation. At least that's likely to be in Estordo's deck. So Tsukuyomi at least does something. Play makes sense from that perspective. But the Abyss Soldier will get in for 1800, dropping Estordo down to 19, passing with lethal on board. Let's see what Estordo has. Upstart Goblin. See the next card in the deck. We're going to go set a back row. We're going to normal summon that Tsukuyomi to try. Okay, so we're going to flip down the BLS. Do we have Nobleman of Crossout to deal with it? No. We're going to flip down. And easy to slay you mentioning this in the, well, I guess, mentioning Torrential Tribute in the chat. Flipping down the Tsukuyomi flip down the BLS could be a way to coax Easy to Slay you into playing into Torrential Tribute if they go for flip summon BLS. But, and assuming this new back row is Torrential exactly, because otherwise this Torrential probably just normal Suk chain Torrential, right? But Easy to Slay you doesn't even need to flip summon the BLS to attack for game here, so pretty easy to play around Torrential if they so choose. But that's really the only thing you have to think about if you're Easy to Slay you. Pot of Greed here is insane as well. That is going to turn on Trap Dust Shoot from Estordo, so we're going to get a little bit more intel as to what Easy to Slay you is playing. We have that known Sukanan for Estordo. Easy to Slay you, we see a hand of... We knew about the two Thunder Dragons. We also see a Dekoichi and a Sinister Serpent. So a couple interesting monster choices here. Probably don't matter too much. I guess you probably just want to send back the Sinister, because that is a solid combo with the Abyss Soldier. The Dekoichi doesn't really do too much on its own here, I don't think, unless you really want to protect your life points. But Sinister would, I think, make the most sense to send back in this scenario. I'm going to send back the Dekoichi here, so looking to protect the life points as much as possible. This does enable Abyss Soldier to do some stuff. And honestly, if I was Easy to Slay you, I would probably just go Abyss Soldier, bounce this new back row. Because you know this isn't Mirror Force or Torrential. So the only thing you really have to worry about is this one, is my guess. Yeah, Dekoichi will get sent back. Oh, see, yeah, I was about to say, send back the Serpent, please. That makes a lot more sense. Okay, yeah, Dekoichi will stay in hand. Okay, thought Estordo was getting a little bit too tricky for their own good. But now the Abyss send back this new back row. Play is no longer live. And then we're just going to go attack for game here. Reflect Bounder hits in for 17. Abyss Soldier going to go attempt to hit for game. And that's just going to be GG. So just a whole lot of bluffing. Who knows? Maybe this was Torrential. But like I mentioned, Easy to Slay, you didn't even need to play into Torrential to win this game. So potentially the defensive stuff coming out a little bit too late here for Estordo. But they will get the chance to go first here in game 3. And yeah, I mean, how do you even board against Easy to Slay's deck? I guess you probably play a lot of Battle Traps because they are playing Abyss Soldiers and Reflect Bounders and stuff like that. Estuardo going to lead out with an Upstart Goblin. See one more card. And Pot of Greed open for the third time this match. Better lucky than good, I guess. Not that I'm saying Estuardo isn't good, but triple pot is quite nice. Going up a card already. Into Graceful as well. what a beating. Discarding Sinister Serpent and an Upstart Goblin. So just getting maximum value here, opening double Trinity. Sinister plus Graceful combo to go up an additional card. Man, that's insane. They're gonna T-set pass up a couple cards already. Easy to slay you back against the wall once more here, but they were able to recover from this bad early start here in game 2 with a well-timed top deck Graceful Charity. We'll see if the odds are in their favor here, similar to last game. Easy to slay you. Has a Nobleman of Crossout on the set monster. It is just a Sangan, so no banishing from players' decks. Just the Sangan will hit the banish zone. And Easy to Slay you does have a set monster of their own, but still down a couple cards here. Really needs to fight back. Estuardo, going to recur that Sinister Serpent. And they're going to go set a back row, so something they want to keep, and then fire off a card destruction with a Sinister in hand, so it's essentially free. And depending on what else you have in hand, you know, maybe you've got Knight Assailant to recur, something like a Spy. And this could be a pretty high value card D. Yeah, so they have a Knight Assailant here to go +1 off the card destruction. Pitching a Sorcerer that was dead anyway, so you're totally fine with that. Pitching a Heavy Storm, which doesn't really matter too much. I think really the play was just to, you know, cash in on the Serpent, Knight Assailant, Gravekeeper Spy stuff you had going on. Easy to Slay you, had to discard Call of the Haunted, Magic Cylinder, Exiled Force, which are 3 decent cards. Cylinder's not great, but it is what it is. And discarding BLS, which was super dead, but Estuardo knowing they don't have to play around it for the rest of the game is quite nice. But yeah, Estuardo will be able to dig up a bunch more cards thanks to this card D. Knight Assailant effect will come through to bounce the Spy back to hand. Oh, and then they drew into Duo as well, post card destruction, to just complete the Trinity here on game 2, seeing so many cards in the deck. And man, Easy to Slay you is just so far behind. Hits a Breaker too, which feels really bad. Turns Easy to Slay you off Chaos, but we haven't seen any, or puts Easy to Slay you on Chaos, but we haven't seen any Sorcerers at all so far this match. So likely only the BLS for Chaos stuff that is of course in the grave already. And Easy to Slay you also going to discard that Abyss Soldier. Oof. Oof. Estuardo off to such a strong start here. This is what these Chaos Turbo decks can do. There's a reason why it's, you know, the best deck in the format. It can just get to these crazy Trinity opens and take advantage of them better than any deck in the format. They have a set monster and a back row here, so no knock of their own. Estuardo, smartly, I think, setting a bunch of stuff because this set very well could be a Morphing Jar. We know Easy to Slay you's on that. So you don't want to get super minused by a Morphing Jar resolution, but could potentially be playing into Heavy Storm. So Easy to Slay you does have potential routes back into this, thanks to some of the strong one-offs that they play. Estuardo is going to play around potential Morphing Jar with just this draw phase Raigeki break. Discarding a Chaos Sorcerer is a little bit interesting, but you're too good discard fodder in the grave for now. So just saying, I'd rather, you know, I'm up so many cards, I'd rather play it safe, 2 for 1 myself, just to make sure a Morphing Jar or something doesn't resolve. I think that's totally fair. It does hit just a Knight Assailant, which is fine. At least it's not a Sangan or something, right? Where you go like -2. But hitting Knight Assailant is nice, especially depending on what Estuardo's set is. Easy to Slay you. It does have a Nobleman of Crossout for it, though. It is that Gravekeeper Spy that was bounced off of the Knight Assailant. Pretty likely it was that, of course. Spy Day Nocturne, not the end of the world for Estuardo, because they already have plenty of Darks in grave, so not going to worry too much about that one. Looks like they're only running 2 copies, potentially, unless they have the 3rd in hand. Easy to Slay, you're just going to pass, though. Their board in hand really kind of torn apart here, so not too much action going on. Estuardo up a handful of cards and has the opportunity to start applying some pressure here into an empty board. Going to recur that Sinister Serpent. Running a Jar of Greed, try and find a threat. Set a monster pass, could be that Sinister. could be something that's threatening to flip up and put Easy to Slay You even further behind. Premature Burial out of Easy to Slay You is kind of cute. You have some good targets here. You could go Exiled conservatively just to pop this set in case you're worried about like Magician of Faith. You could grab Abyss Soldier to get as aggro as, more aggro. And that's really the only two options unless you have like Tsukiyomi to reset the Night Assailant, but that seems unlikely. Okay, Premature, we'll see if you go for the aggressive Abyss Soldier play or the conservative Exiled Force play. Gonna go for the more conservative route with the Exiled Force. Just doesn't want a Magician of Faith to resolve because that would really put this game super far out of reach. And they do pop a Dekoichi. Okay, so getting a little bit of value there for their Premature. Setting back a Estuardo. The Dekoichi is a relevant clock as well if it were to flip up and resolve. 1400 a turn ain't anything to scoff at. So Easy to Slay You, kind of reducing the tempo a little bit for Estuardo. As a Thunder Dragon, thinning the deck a little bit, but not really a huge play here unless you have Graceful Charity in hand. Just going to set a back row pass, though. So Estuardo, another opportunity here to stick a threat and start chipping away at the life. Breaker is a good one. Going to summon that, pop that back row. It is a Mirror Force, so getting the solid plus there. Thanks to the Breaker, really good card. And you've stuck a threat that can continue to apply pressure to Easy to Slay You and slowly win you this game if left unanswered. So 1600 here. Drop Easy to Slay You to 66. And this is a very real clock. And Estuardo looking in a very prime position to take down this match here in Game 3. Easy to Slay You. Not completely out of it yet, but quite far behind. They do have a card destruction of their own, which nominally is a -1, but we know there is double Thunder Dragon in hand, so otherwise you're completely dead. Or just have nothing to do, so firing off this card D is quite good. Unfortunately, Estuardo had Sinister in hand, so they're going to actually plus off of this as well. But desperate times call for desperate measures. You achieve the card destruction Thunder Dragon combo, but at what cost? Just kind of spinning the roulette here. Ooh, and Estuardo had a Night Assailant in hand too. You just bounce that Dekoichi. Man, is that like the worst card destruction of all time? It's going to depend on, of course, what both players draw, but just in terms of what was in both players' hand at the time the card destruction was played, Estuardo's like, yes, please, do it again. Yeah, and so Estuardo's going to be able to bounce back that Dekoichi that was just dealt with by the Exiled Force, so adding insult to injury. Easy to Slay has 2 fresh cards in hand, but is down so much. Can you mount any sort of defense? Gonna T-set pass there. Estuardo can go, choosing not to grab that Sinister, or actually remembering at the last second. Totally fine. We're gonna set a bunch, playing around potential Morphing Jar. That is like the one way Easy to Slay You really has to get back into this game. So Estuardo's smartly setting a bunch of stuff to minimize the impact of Morphing Jar if it were to resolve here. Oh, we're just going to pass. Not even risking attacking into the set. I guess maybe do we have like a Raigeki break or something to use in draw phase again? To pop it like we saw earlier this game? No, we're going to get to main phase 1. So Morphing Jar could resolve here. Unless this Estuardo has like a Solemn, which they definitely could. Although we haven't seen any of this game. For this match. Easy to Slay, you're just going to pass. So not flipping up the potential Morphing Jar makes you think it's probably not Morphing Jar. Maybe just trying to wall it with a Sangan or a Sinister Serpent. But yeah, just holding on for dear life here against this mountain of card advantage that Estuardo has secured for themselves so far this game. Estuardo will get to draw for turn. Go to 4 cards in hand, potentially enabling Dust Shoot. Gonna fire for Thunder Dragon, though, going up even more cards. Man, this is such a formidable board for Easy to Slay to face. That Dekoichi is gonna get flipped face up here. That was recurred off of that Night Assailant, so that will draw them yet another card. And Dust Tornado to deal with the back row. Oh, okay. Okay, so on Dekoichi effect, we're gonna get Ceasefire effect to flip up. Oh, okay, so it was set Protector of the Sanctuary on Dekoichi effect. Okay, so maybe potentially trying to roll back stuff here, trying to make the Dekoichi effect fizzle via Protector of the Sanctuary's effect. Not sure how much time has passed. We'll see if Estuardo is fine allowing this. This will deal 1500 to Estuardo as well, which is ain't nothing. Yeah, so minus 1500. Doesn't get to draw. And Protector of the Sanctuary does do a good job of walling out Estuardo's stuff here. But we just have a ring. We have a ring on the Protector of the Sanctuary, so getting a little bit cute. Ceasefire to flip the Protector. Maybe that's the point of the Ceasefire in the game. Is this the combo? Just to, like, maybe try and negate Trinity stuff? If so, I'm not sure if it's really worth playing these cards, but is a little bit cute. And I appreciate, trying out new things, of course. Ring here, popping the Protector, though, and now Easy to Slay You is probably in for a world of hurt. Normal summon to Koichi here. This is 4,400 damage. Any Chaos Monster is game. Doesn't look like they have one, but going to drop Easy to Slay You down to a very low life total and pass lethal on board. And Easy to Slay You will have exactly 2 cards to their name with 1,300 life points against this absolute avalanche coming in at them. And let's see. Easy to Slay You going to T-set again. Once again, Protector of the Sanctuary, especially with the ring on, could wall out pretty much indefinitely, assuming Estuardo has no out to it. We're going to get end-phase Dust Tornado, though, which Easy to Slay You knew about, but you have to set the Torrential regardless. So Dust Tornado clearing out that potential threat. Estuardo knows there will be no quick effect speed interaction out of Easy to Slay You coming in at all this turn. No cheeky Ceasefire plus Protector. And so, Ceasefire, we haven't really seen any other cards with these, like, static effects besides Protector for Ceasefire to combo with. I mean, Ceasefire is like a fine card, of course, if you know your opponent's playing flips. It's decent against Chaos Turbo. If you're playing this aggro deck, it can give you some relevant reach to deal with your opponent's stuff. So, like, it does have uses. It's not a bad card. It's just, like, kind of a mid card in a lot of cases. Estuardo, though, let's see. Just going to set pass, choosing not to attack into whatever that is. Really worried about playing around Morphing Jar. Show me the Raigeki Break to pop it. Yeah, Raigeki Break, discard that Serpent in hand. Pop it. It is a Cyber Jar, so doing really good to out Easy to Slay You's potential comeback cards here. Playing super smartly here, you can definitely afford to take some time to just maximize your chances of victory. Really hard for Easy to Slay You to come back into this game if they don't resolve one of those high impact jar cards. And then Easy to Slay You, gonna set a monster pass. Is it Morphing Jar? That'd be funny. Morphing Jar doesn't even do anything, though. You just win. And Estuardo, main phase 1, we're gonna summon BLS just to banish that set. And that is GG. Just a Sinister there in the way to block stuff off. But Estuardo taking this down 2-1 on Chaos Turbo versus something. I'm going to have to think really hard about what to call this deck when I name this YouTube video. But I appreciate Easy to Slay You here running some spicy stuff. Once again, unable to take this match down, but did take a game here solidly with this kind of like aggro take on just like mashing all the Goat Format staples together, plus Ceasefire plus Protector stuff, I guess, for fun. But yeah, unable to take the game down against just a typical Chaos Turbo strategy, but really fun to see. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I will catch you all next time.